Welcome back. Tim Moy, Moraine Park automotive instructor. I'm here to follow up my Tesla video with talking about Tesla supercharging and navigate on autopilot or autopilot. So just to give you an idea how smart and intelligent this car is, if I go down here, I can click on and see charge stations that are all around Wisconsin, Tesla charge stations. But what I think is even cooler to show you is navigate on autopilot. So navigate to AT&T Stadium. Now, in case you don't know where AT&T Stadium is, it's in Arlington, Texas. Come on. And so I went to Austin, Texas last two spring breaks, just a month or so ago and last year. And here's a route that it would have us take if we were going to Dallas. We went all the way down to Austin. But so what this is having us do is it's plotting out based on where our level of charge is right now. It's saying we need to stop in Madison and charge, and then we need to stop in Dubuque, and then Des Moines, and so on. Now, that may sound like a lot to those of you who've never done this before, but it's actually very nice. What I mean by that is it's nice to get out of the car every hour and a half, 2 hours, to stop and go to the bathroom, get a bite to eat, get out and stretch. And while you're doing that, the car is charging. Fast charging is really fast. This thing can charge up in about an hour. If it was completely dead and I wanted to charge completely, which you rarely ever want to do that, it's hard on the battery to charge it up fully, other than a slower charge, like what I have here in the garage would be okay to charge up to 100%. But to do a fast charge, it's pretty hard on the battery, and so if you want your battery to last a long time, it's not recommended, but it can be done. You just don't want to do it often. And so what else? The other thing that we would do is we would make this trip in 2 days. So we would stop in Missouri and stay at a hotel that has a Tesla charger, and so that way we would charge. We'd stop at 3 to 5 charge stations on the way down the first day. We'd charge overnight to 100% at our hotel. And then we would stop at 3 to 4 or 5 charge stations from there down to Austin, Texas, and then did the same thing coming back. It was awesome. We had no problems whatsoever. Charge stations are always available. They charge really fast. They charge faster than any other charge station that anybody else would have to go to. That Bolt would charge at a fast charge station. It would take double what this Tesla would take. So this car charges a lot faster, and it's a bigger battery and all of that. So it's pretty awesome. But we're not going to go to Austin, Texas, or Dallas, Texas, or Arlington, Texas today. How about we go to Lambeau Field? Navigate to Lambeau Field. So it shows us some options. We can just tap on the screen. We'll start taking, we're not going to go all the way to Lambeau Field, but I'm going to show you enough. We'll get out on the highway to show you how this thing does autopilot. So without ado, we'll head on out. And without further ado, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So right now we're in park, reverse, and this lever right here, I don't know if you're holding on this on, but this lever is our shifter for park, reverse, neutral drive, and it's also going to be our autopilot and cruise control. So every switch that is on here, which there isn't many, have multiple functions. That thing was closing my garage door. It's got what they call geolocating or something like that, home link. So it knows that when we're getting within 100 feet of our house, it's going to open the garage door automatically. And when we get so many feet away from our house, it closes the garage door, which is really kind of cool. So autopilot. Tesla calls it autopilot. Earlier video I talked about advanced driver assist systems. Those systems actually are comprised of multiple systems put together. The first one would be cruise control. I think most of you know what cruise control is. It's where you can set a speed and it will maintain that speed. But if you come up on slower traffic, you have to slow down. You have to disable your cruise control. You have to turn it off. And this car, and then other cars have what's called adaptive cruise control, where if we are cruising along and we came up on a slower vehicle, radar on this vehicle would sense that vehicle and keep us at the same distance from that vehicle and maintain that vehicle speed until that vehicle was no longer in front of us, and then it would resume back to our set speed. That is just one part of advanced driver assist systems, or what Tesla calls autopilot. The other part is auto steer. So the vehicle has to be able to steer itself, and this does an amazing job of steering itself, and that's what we have to wait to get on a highway to see. So right here is showing us the speed, and there's a circle around it. I don't know if you can pick it up on the camera, but that's okay. Take my word for it, there's a gray circle around that 38 right now, or 39, and then you have a steering wheel over here. If I push this lever down once, that's my cruise control, and it's set at 40 miles per hour, but I'm steering the vehicle. If I push this lever down twice, now it's steering itself. I don't have my foot on the accelerator, I don't have my foot on the brake, I don't have my foot on, or hands on the steering wheel. The car is steering itself. There's 3 cameras up in here that are actually looking out there, and they're picking up on the lines on the road. Now, these early systems required both lines. A yellow line down the middle and a white line on the right side in order to keep the vehicle in between the lanes, or in between the lines. Now they've advanced the system enough where it can tell the gravel edge of this road, and it can maintain, or I can use autopilot even on this road, whereas when we first got the vehicle you couldn't use autopilot on this road. So now we're coming up on a roundabout, and I said these cars had limitations. They cannot do roundabouts yet. So I'm going to have to turn off. That doo-doo is me tapping on the brake, and the auto steer and the auto cruise control stop working so I can navigate through this roundabout. And then if you're focusing on this, you'll see when the steering wheel comes back on, we got some lines out there. And what's really neat now is, you notice we have a speed limit sign here. The speed limit actually here, this is a new road that was done last year, it's actually 35, not 45, so the map isn't updated yet, so I'm going to slow it down a little bit so we don't get pulled over. The speed limit here is actually 35, not 45. It used to be 45. And so now it's maintaining 40 miles an hour, and it's keeping the car between the lines that are physically out there as well. You'll notice this. We'll show you on the next time around. We're coming up on another roundabout, so I'm going to disable it. So I literally will use autopilot in between roundabouts like that. Not always, but a lot of times I will. And that's because of what I mentioned in an earlier video. You know, I'm human. I might get distracted by something. I might be looking off in the distance or whatever and not paying attention, and all of a sudden an animal could come across, or a child could run across the street, or something could happen where I'm not paying attention, but the car might catch it and stop. Now, it's still somewhat unknown whether this car will stop for animals or a small child. It does pick up people. I have not run into that yet. I haven't had somebody run across the road in front of me yet, so I haven't been able to test that to see if it actually works. But other people have seen it happen, so it does work for people. Animals is something that's not for sure yet, especially a large animal would probably pick up on, like a deer. But a small animal, it may not. So if a car would pull out off of one of these exits or one of these parking lots or something like that, this car would automatically brake to avoid that crash. And maybe I wouldn't respond quick enough, but this car would. And I've had that, I've experienced that multiple times. So if you've noticed on the screen a couple of times, the blue flashing up on top and a message that pops up here, you do have to keep your hands on the steering wheel. This is a beta system. It's not fully trustworthy, if you will. That's for there's probably better words for it than that. This car is very trustworthy, but Tesla calls it beta, and which means that you need to still keep your hands on the steering wheel and need to be a part of the driving experience. You can't take a nap. If you've heard of videos where people are napping in a car, that they're just playing around. Literally within about 60 seconds, this thing is going to start flashing at you and asking you to take control of the steering wheel or get your hands on the steering wheel. If you ignore that, in about a minute to 2 minutes, it will start beeping at you, and you don't hear that, it shuts the system down. And it's loud. When it shuts the car down, it's loud, and it'll just come to a complete stop. And I've tested that multiple times, and it does work. So they do that in case you would have some sort of medical condition, you have a heart attack or something like that. The car would actually come to a stop. It would not change lanes, it would not pull over, it would just come to a stop, and as it comes to a stop, it would turn on the four ways to let people know that you're stopping, And that way, because it doesn't know whether there's a cliff off the side of the road or not. So now we're going to run this in autopilot. Now we're on Highway 441 here in Appleton, Wisconsin. And it's going to accelerate. I have the car programmed to go 5 over the speed limit. The speed limit here is 65 miles an hour. So if I don't want that blue flashing, that warning, if I lay my hands right in the steering wheel and just rest my hands in here, the car will do everything by itself. And I won't get those. It just turned on the turn signal. I didn't do that. It's doing a lane change. Now it's doing a lane change, and it wants a confirmation of that, so I'm just bumping the steering wheel over a little bit to say, yep, it's okay, go ahead and make the lane change, but it just changed lanes by itself. So now you can see that this went from double line to a single line, which means it's in Navigate on autopilot. And when we get up here about a mile or two ahead, 2.5 miles ahead, we're going to get on 41 going towards Green Bay. And it will take that off ramp on the 41 all by itself. Even if there's vehicles coming, there's an on-ramp right here that we're approaching with a red truck and a blue SUV. If those vehicles are in the way and I was over in that lane, it would have me move over. But at about 2.1 miles, I need to make a right turn, and that's the off-ramp of this highway going on to on the 41 now. But I'm going to show you, because there's not a lot of traffic out here because of COVID-19. The roads aren't that busy. I'm going to actually let you see what the car is going to do, and hopefully it behaves well. It doesn't always behave 100%. There we go. Now it's doing a lane change. I'm just resting my hand in here. It turned on the turn signal, and it wanted to get over in the right lane because in 0.7 of a mile we need to take the off ramp. Oh, there, now it turned on the turn signal. It's going to change lanes into the exit lane. There it goes. It's in the exit lane now, so we're going on, and it's going to take a fairly sharp curve up here all by itself. The vehicle will slow down. I'm not hitting the brake or anything. It's slowing down to saying 55 miles an hour, 60 miles an hour. Now it's going increasing speed. The speed limit on 41 here is 70 miles an hour, so it will eventually speed up to 75. It may not go to 75 because my previous set speed was 70, so it may only go up. I may have to update that, and I'll see that in a minute. Yep, I think I do. But it just went onto the highway all by itself. So because I have my hand off steering wheel, see, now it wants to go all the way over, and I don't like this, but it's also doing it because these vehicles in the right lane are going slower than I am. Oh, it did actually update. It's at 75. It set itself to 75 miles per hour. It's with the mapping system, the navigation system, it knows where all the speed limit signs are, and it will adjust the speed based on the speed limit and on the road that you're on. So I hope this gives you a good idea of what autopilot can do. It would be a very long video with lots more explanation in order to show you everything, but this gives you a good synopsis. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to initiate a lane change to end the video. So I can put the turn signal on and say, you know what, I don't want to be out there in that left lane, I want to be in the right lane. And so I can do that as well. So hope you enjoyed the video, and until next time, thanks for watching.